Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurumrita Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Hare Krishna. Thank you all for giving this opportunity to take these important verses today and for your time and support in serving and helping me serve my Guru and Gauranga. Hitva Kalevaram Tirthe Gangayam Darshanad Anu Sadya Swarupam Jagrahe Bhagvat Pasho Vartinam. Hitvam, giving up. Kalevaram, the material body. Tirthe, in the holy place. Gangayam, on the bank of the Ganges. Darshanat Anu, after seeing. Sadhya, immediately. Swarupam, his original spiritual form. Jagrahe, he assumed. Bhagvat Parshva Vartinam, which is fit for an associate of the Lord. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. Upon seeing the Vishnu Dutas, Ajamil gave up his material body at Hardwar on the bank of the Ganges. He regained his original spiritual body, which was a body appropriate for an associate of the Lord. Purport. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 9th verse, Janma karma chame divyam, evam yo vetti tatvata, tyatva deham punarjanma, nati mam eti so Arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and the activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjun. The result of perfection in Krishna consciousness is that after giving up one's material body, one is immediately transferred to the spiritual world in one's original spiritual body to become an associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Some devotees go to Vaikuntha Lok and others go to Golok Vrindavan to become associates of Krishna. So today I'll be taking, this was 43rd verse and I'll take up to 48 because they are following a particular theme and it also sums up the entire chapter which has been discussed, Ajamil delivered by the Vishnu Dutas. 6th canto, 2nd chapter. Sakam Vihyasa Vipro Mahapurusha Kinkara Hemam Vimanam Aruha Yayo Yatra Shriya Pati. Accompanied by the order carriers of Lord Vishnu, Ajamil boarded an aeroplane made of gold. Passing through the airways, he went directly to the abode of Lord Vishnu, the husband of the goddess of fortune. For many years, material scientists have tried to go to the moon, but they are still unable to go there. However, the spiritual aeroplanes from the spiritual planets can take one back home, back to Godhead, in a second. The speed of such a spiritual plane can only be imagined. Spirit is faster than mind, and everyone has experience of how swiftly the mind travels from one place to another. Therefore, one can imagine the swiftness of the spiritual form by comparing it to the speed of the mind. In less than even a moment, a perfect devotee can return home, back to Godhead, immediately after giving up his material body. एवं स विप्लवत सर्वधर्मा दास्या पति पतितो गर्य कमाण निपत्यमानो निर्य हतव्रत सद्यो vimukto bhagwan nam grihan. Ajamil was a Brahmin who, because of bad association, had given up all Brahminical culture and religious principles. Becoming most fallen, he stole, drank, and performed all other abominable acts. He even kept a prostitute. Thus, he was destined to be carried away to hell by the orders of carriers of Yamaraj. But he was immediately rescued simply by a glimpse of the chanting of the holy name Narayan. Natah param karma nibandha कृणताम मुमुक्षताम तीर्थ पदानुकीर्तनात् न यत् पुनः कर्मसो सज्जते मनो रजस्तमोभ्याम kalilam tato nyatha. Therefore, one who desires freedom from material bondage should adopt the process of chanting and glorifying the name, fame, and forms and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, at whose feet all the holy places stand. One cannot derive the proper benefit from other methods, such as pious atonement, speculative knowledge, and meditation in mystic yoga, because even after following such methods, one takes to fruitive activities again, unable to control his mind, which is contaminated by the base qualities of nature, namely passion and ignorance. It has been seen that even after achieving so called perfection, many karmis, jnanis, and yogis become attached to material activities again. Many so called swamis and yogis give up material activities as false, jagan mithya. But after some time, they nevertheless resume material activities by opening hospitals and schools or performing other activities for the benefit of the public. Sometimes they participate in politics, although still falsely declaring themselves sannyasis, member of the renounced order. The perfect conclusion, however, is that if one is actually desiring to get out of the material world, he must take to devotional service, which begins with Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord. The Krishna consciousness movement has actually proved this. In Western countries, many young boys who were addicted to drugs and who had many other bad habits, which they could not give up, abandoned all those propensities and very seriously engaged in chanting the glories of the Lord as soon as they joined the Krishna consciousness movement. In other words, this process is the perfect method of atonement for actions performed in Raja and Tama, passion and ignorance. As stated in Srimad-Bhagavatam, Tada Rajas Tamo Bhava Kam Lobhadyas Ye Chet Eter Anavidham Sthitam Sattve Prasidati. As a result of Raja and Tama, one becomes increasingly lusty and greedy. But when one takes to the process of chanting and hearing, one comes to the platform of goodness and becomes happy. As he advances in devotional service, all his doubts are completely eradicated. Vidyate hridaya granthes chidanyate sarva samshaya. Thus, the knot of his desire for the fruity activities is cut to pieces. Ya etam paramam guhyam itihasan agapaham शृणुयाच श्रद्धया युक्तो यश्च भक्त्यानुकीर्तयेत् न वै स नरकं यति नेक्षितो यम किंकरः यदि अपि अमंगलो मर्तयो विष्णुलोके महीयते. Because of this very confidential historical narration has the potency to vanquish all sinful reactions, one who hears or describes it with faith and devotion is no longer doomed to hellish life, regardless of his having a material body and regardless of how sinful he may have been. Indeed, the Yamdutas who carry out the orders of Yamaraj do not approach him even to see him. After giving up his body, he returns home back to Godhead, where he is very respectfully received and worshipped. So these were the verses which I read as Srila Prabhupada has mentioned. And here we are discussing about a person called Ajamil. And he was raised in a very Brahminical family. And he was a trained Brahmin or trained Vaishnava. But because of some of his past activities, he fell down. And then he ended up leaving his loving parents and the parents who had given him the wealth. All those wealth he spent on a prostitute, and he gave up his own very pious wife who was coming in from very advanced family. So we see a person who was highly qualified. He gave up everything, and one may ask, why did this happen? So there was something which was coming from his past. So many a times we feel that when we are doing some pious activities, everything is fine. But here we see a person who was very well trained Brahmin. Brahmin is supposed to be highest of the society. And as scriptures say that we don't become Brahmin just because we are born in a Brahmin family. If that happens, of course, that's like a bonus above the salary, but by our karma. So here a person who took birth in a very highly qualified Brahmin family fell down. So, and even to take birth in that family, he must have done very auspicious activities in previous births. So that's why he was given that birth. But even in that, his karmas from past lives came in such a manner that he fell down even from that. So, what to talk of us who are not even that qualified? And some of us may actually feel this is just a story. Even I was used to feel like that. But when you have to give a session and then you actually start reading very carefully, then you start realizing many things which you are yourself not aware. So I realized that I thought it's a story, but it is coming from Purans. And Purans are as important as Vedas only. And if you're talking about Ajamil, as I understood from reading it, that maybe Ajamil was living in this planet Earth only, or he was living in some of these universes. But this is a true incident, it's not some fiction. So Ajamil's pastime or story is very interesting and instructive. Generally, life does not give second chances. Like many a times we realize that, oh, if this thing had not happened, maybe I could have done something better. But then generally we realize that life doesn't work like that. Many times, once chance is gone, it's gone. Like uh, water is flowing from a river, and if you try to catch the same water, you can't catch because that's already flown away. It's something like time, which comes only once and then goes away and then it doesn't come back. But in this story, we see Krishna's mercy, kindness, and also generosity. Unlike us, if our loved one, why I'm saying loved one? Because Krishna loves all of us. So I'm trying to put in our situation like if we someone we love very much, and that loved person forgets us and goes away and starts doing exactly what we don't want him or her to do. How do we feel at that point of time? We feel hurt, we feel angry, we feel upset, we feel insulted. And how many of us at that point of time can actually forgive that person and forget that thing and bless this person? Okay, do you did all this, but still, please, I bless you that you have a good future. We generally don't think like this, but this is exactly what Krishna did. Because Ajamil was doing all those activities which Krishna would not have liked him to do. But it was some past time it happened. So many of us, if not all, are like Ajamil. We are following material pursuits. Srila Prabhupada said that there is everything for everyone's need, but not sufficient for even one person's greed. Like all of us, Krishna gives everything to all of us. Like even when we are sitting in this room, Krishna has given us proper shelter against the temperature, which is 4 degree or 6 degree outside, but we are sitting here comfortably. And some Prabhuji I see they're just wearing only t-shirt. Outside it's not possible. So Krishna is so merciful that he's giving us all these opportunities. But if we start getting greedy, then there is no limit to greed. Even Hiranyakashipu, and Hiranyaksh, they were given everything, but still they wanted to control the entire universe. So in Ajamil's life, we see three different phases or three distinct patterns. First, childhood and youth, where he got right, good, and very Brahminical education by Brahmin parents. And second, when he went astray, he started pursuing hedonistic life, doing what his heart told him and whatever he wanted to do without following any scriptures or forgot all about scriptures. And thanks to Krishna's mercy, he named his youngest son or child Narayan. And you can imagine that he had abandoned his family, his parents, his respectable wife, and he had married a prostitute. And just to graphically explain, as the scriptures explain graphically, so that we understand clearly, he was very much attached to his 10th son, and we are talking his age was 88 years. How many of us can imagine having a child at the age of 88 years? Some people say that Mick Jagger got at the age of 72, who's a pop singer and all those things. But you can imagine at the age of 88, what was his thought process? But still got his second chance after his near death experience. And third and finally, where repentingly he perfected his life and went back to the Godhead. So this is the story of Ajamil. And in Ajamil's story, we are seeing a person who was born in a noble Brahmin family. This story is from the Puranas or the old histories of universes. Some unintelligent men consider that mythological, but Puranas are factual. Sri Rup Goswami accepts the Puranas to be as important as the Vedas themselves. And a devotee of Krishna must refer not only to the Vedas but also to the Puranas. The Puranas record the chief incidents that have occurred over many millions of years, maybe not thousand years, but millions of years, not only in this planet, but also on other planets within the universe. So Ajamil was a qualified Brahmin youth. He was trained by his parents to become a perfect Brahmin by studying the Vedas and following regulative principles. But because of his past, he was somehow attracted by a prostitute, which caused his fall down. Contrast this with present day scenario, we don't even have a proper Vedic education system or qualified Brahmins, teachers, who can take our full responsibility and train us to become qualified Brahmins. It is said that when we take a guru firstly examines us whether we are qualified or not. And why does guru does that? One may say that okay, guru is advanced, he has blessings of Krishna, but why still he scrutinizingly takes us? Because it's hard to understand, but when a guru is taking a disciple, if that disciple makes any mistakes or does something sinful, part of that reaction goes to the guru also. So that's why gurus are always very cautious. They don't want to do something which offends Krishna. To make the matters worse, whatever formal education system we have, even that is crumbling and falling apart. Now, I'm contrasting between two situations. Ajamil was given Vedic education and he was trained in Vedic education and he was qualified in Vedic education. Here, we are not even getting normal education. Forget about getting the qualification. Even ordinary qualification is getting difficult. So, how do we contrast ourselves with Ajamil? And that what's this makes story very glaring. So, faced with the reality of whatever educational traces we acquire, most of us do similar things like qualified Brahmin Ajamil did after falling down, face similar temptations. Now, again, I'm highlighting the same point that we are following, most of us, I'm not talking about you, but most of us are following the similar situations and tendencies which Ajamil had. Forget about qualification, but he saw one prostitute who was drunk and who was associating with another low class man or Shudra. And just because of this, he got tempted and he got attracted. Now, it seems like a minor incident, but there are many incidents which we see happening around us, and most of us do get tempted. So even if such a qualified person could get tempted, we are copying that part. But what he did after that, it's a bit difficult. And now you might be wondering why I say that education system is crumbling. I was just reading some news, and present day situation is like in Finland itself, 6 in 10 teachers, that means 60% teachers in Finland consider leaving job because of the heavy workload and low salaries. So teachers are being paid very less. And there's an increasing shortage of teachers in Finland. And I was also reading a news on 24th September from UK. Most of us, we are following UK or London, which was actually at one point in time controlling the entire planet. Teachers and nurses face tax increase after mini budget hands out cut to bankers. Top bank bosses will enjoy a cut worth more than £100,000, and one top earning banker would be enough to cancel the tax increase for more than 1,000 nurses. Now, is a banker more important or 1,000 nurses more important? This is the policy which government has made just this last week. Education and health are no longer the priority, only the rich are the priority. So most time places you'll realize that the taxes are being designed in such a manner that they're benefiting, whether it's America, UK, India, wherever, they are benefiting only the rich people. So poor people are being actually even taxed more. And in India, government schools are closing down and private schools are on the rise. These are the facts which we are saying and seeing. And Brahmins are generally poor. There's a pastime where Bhrigu Muni wanted to check out who is greatest of the three, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, and then he kicked on Vishnu's chest. And after that, Lakshmi got so angry that she cursed that all the Brahmins she will never be associating with Brahmins and they will always remain poor. So, but then generally Brahmins are really actually poor in real life also.
But they are also happy, right? Internally, we are happy.
Of course, that is there. But fact of the thing is, when you see that
Correct.
you want to buy something and
Correct.
you don't have money,
Correct.
and you find that even for your need,
correct, correct,
you are not having that of money, but somebody else is splurging that money, you do feel some pinch sometimes.
correct, correct.
So that is the point. And they are generally indicating that Brahmins are actually suffering. So we should consider ourselves fortunate that we get some education even from those suffering Brahmins, and also that we have good sanskars, that we are able to come and pray together. All of us are struggling to rise above our anarthas. What are anarthas? The things which we actually don't want to do, but it's something like that moth to the flame. Like moth knows that if it goes to the flame, it will die, but still it goes. So anarthas are like that, that we are somehow attracted to those things which we don't want to do.
Knowingly, we make mistakes, right?
That,
we are inclined towards that.
We are inclined. That's exactly. Anartha is basically an inclination that we don't want to do that many times, but still heart goes and does that. Like I'm sitting here, but my mind is traveling. Oh, okay. What is the food which I'll be getting? What is the food I could think of? I just can't think of anything else. I don't want to think like that. That I'm here talking about spiritual things, but my mind thinks about material things. So, and we are trying to advance in Krishna consciousness. Against this backdrop, Ajamal's story or pastimes becomes relevant and it motivates us to progress in our devotional journey. It also illustrates that by uttering Krishna's name, there is a hope for even the sinful to be redeemed from the propensity to commit sins and perfecting our lives. Just keep in mind, we are many a times having and facing similar temptations, but Ajamil was a qualified Brahmin and we are not even having proper Vedic education. Forget about qualifications. So how much humble and cautious we should be. We should be so much careful. And Vijayadhwaj Tirth remarks, Anen putra sneham antarena prachina drishta balad adbhutya bhaktaya bhagwan nam sankirtanam kritam iti jayate. Jamil chanted the name of Narayan because of his excessive attachment to his son. Nevertheless, because of past good fortune in having rendered devotional service to Narayan, he apparently chanted the holy name in full devotional service and without offenses. We also work towards pray and hope that we think, pray, and serve Krishna. till the last breath, and not to be in some hospital bed down with some memory issues like Alzheimer disease, etc. Thank you.
That's what they
Hare
say,
Krishna.
that always you should be thinking God and our Guru. Let's say, for example, I say Shankaracharya, right? So always thinking about him. So at the time, let's say 70s, and we do not know when we will die, right? So when you practice of thinking about your Guru or God always, it's always better. The moment when you die, you are thinking about him.
You're right. In fact, Srila Prabhupada mentions that Krishna is more pleased when we are serving devotee. He says that who serve my servant's servant. And who's a guru? Guru is basically servant to the God only. So that's why even if we are not able to think about Krishna, but even if you're thinking about Guru, so Guru is the medium or via medium between Krishna and us. So even if you're thinking about Guru, we are still getting the benefit of going towards Krishna, because Krishna is saying that okay, because of his conditioning, he is able to at least think about my disciple or my guru or my student. So he is thinking about my devotee. So he is advanced devotee. And in fact, I was reading in one of the pastimes where Krishna says that if Srimati Radharani is supposed to be the most merciful creature in the entire universe, if she blesses someone, then I'll have to obey. So that's why if you go in Vrindavan side, you'll realize that people generally talk Radhe Radhe. And some people they say that okay, if you are thinking about Radhe, Krishna will definitely have mercy on us. And Srimati Radharani is very merciful, so she does not see whether this person is qualified or is just a rascal. But she tells Krishna, okay, he's such a good devotee. And Krishna, even though he knows that this person is a rascal, just because Srimati Radharani is saying, he still accepts. So that's what, as you rightly pointed out, that even if we are not able to think about Krishna, but Krishna gets more happy if you are thinking about his devotees. And I was just thinking, like, okay, why did I think about Alzheimer's? Because I was just discussing with my wife about this session. So she said that, okay, in Ajamal's pastime, we see that in the last breath, he was thinking about Narayan. And now we may wonder that he was thinking about his son, that how come he perfected his life? And how is it that a person who has committed so many sins, because he was committing dacoity and many other sins, so how about a person just talking about Narayan and not even God? So was he not committing offense? But then if you are committing an offense, knowing fully well that if I am chanting Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, if I know this and I understand that this will be killing my offenses, or rather it will be taking away my sins and I'll be going to Krishna, but after that still I do, that does not make much sense. It's like Gajasnan, like it is said about elephants that generally they are found in generally hot climates, whether it's India or Africa. When they take bath, immediately after taking bath, they again roll themselves in mud to dry themselves off. So basically that's called Gatsnan. So when we are chanting holy names and still committing sins, so it's basically like we are taking bath like elephants and again putting the same mud. So effect is nullified. But here he was talking about Narayan, not that he was thinking about Krishna, but he was thinking about his son. But the way he was talking Narayan, like if you read his pastime, he would be always thinking about Narayan. So knowingly, unknowingly, he was actually cleansing his sins of all the past lives or whatever he had accumulated. All anarthas were going away by that offenseless chanting. So that's why that Narayan name becomes offensive chanting. And Krishna saw that he's taking this name. He's not thinking about me, but despite committing all his sins, he's still talking about Narayan. Whether he's talking about my name or he's taking his son name, but he's taking Narayan. That is my name only. So that is the mercy of Krishna. We may not have that type of mercy towards our own siblings or our own family members or our loved ones, because we'll see, our ego comes in between. But for Krishna, there is no ego. In fact, one of the things which I heard from one of the very advanced devotees, he said that Krishna is so merciful that every day in the morning when we wake up, he is knocking at the doors of our heart So please open the heart, I'll come to you. And we don't open. And every day in the morning, he comes in our hearts, knocking at the door. Okay, please open your heart. I want to be in your life. And imagine if some of us face this situation, we come to the temple and the doors are locked and it's not opening. How many of us will again come next day or other day, or will come up forever every day till the time we are alive? It's very difficult for us to even imagine. But that's the mercy of Krishna.
And on the same point of Narayana, one of my close friends, he says that if you want to pray God, the best small sloka, Om Namo Narayana, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. You keep chanting this. That's what he was telling me.
Yes. Now, what is the significance of these mantras? Like even the Om is coming from, it's indicating Krishna only. Shri indicates Krishna only. Even the water which we find tasty, in the taste comes from Krishna only. So everything basically represents Krishna only. And what is scaring about this aspects is like even in Vedas it's mentioned, as we start aging, and if we have not lived a very sinful life, ordinary life, then towards our old age, this cough starts increasing and it starts coming toward the mouth, and our mouth starts choking. We are talking about natural death.
Okay.
So it starts choking, and then we start basically choking from inside, and that's how most of us live. If we are not dying of some sickness or accidents, if we are dying a natural death, that's how it happens. So imagine right now I'm fit, maybe having few pains here and there, feeling a bit cold. And if in my youth I'm not able to think about Krishna, what makes me think, or what makes us think that I'll be able to remember Krishna when it's my last breath, when my this mucus is coming to my nose and choking me up? There are some videos which are available, and there was one shown in temple only when Srila Prabhupada was leaving his body. He was still saying Hare Krishna, when he passed his last breath. How many of us are that fortunate? That is perfection of life. And that is what makes it difficult. So that is, I'm talking about in Indian context, if I was in India. But here, in this part of the world, where you see that population is also just 4.5, 4.6 million, which I'm living in Bombay side. So even within Thane, the entire population of Thane is more than entire Scandinavia or entire Europe. So in that scenario, and in this scenario, since there is so much of space, people don't interact much with each other. Here we have concept of space. If you are going in some Bombay local train, and if you say, I want space, they'll say, okay, we'll give you space. They'll throw you out of the running train altogether. So they don't even bother. Okay, you want space, so you have your space only, but don't come on our space. They'll put it like that. So when people are not even close to each other here, they have so much distances, physically as well as mental. So generally here in this part of the world, you'll find that many people suffering from Alzheimer's, or they're suffering from Parkinson's disease, or suffering from memory issues, dementia, all the diseases of mind. In India, we are too busy to just keep our bodies and soul together, so we don't have that type of diseases. But when we come here, we also start acquiring like karmas and thought process or the sanskars of this place also. So if we are here, and so our prayers would be that at least let us still remember about Krishna in our last breath. Because you'll find that many times if you go to old age homes or in hospitals here, you'll find that people don't even remember their own places. And you can imagine, you are used to, let's say you are living in this temple only, and every day you are used to seeing this lamps and bulbs and these deities every day. And one fine day you realize that you are taken in some other environment, maybe in that room, and you are not aware anymore that where are you. So what you will feel, that strange environment is the same environment where an infant is born, newborn child is taken out. You realize that child when is born, it takes many nights. The child is crying, and sometimes even if sleeping, suddenly wakes up in terrible nightmare.
Different world.
Different world altogether, and this everything surrounding is become different. And when you are in stranger surroundings, it becomes so difficult. Like all of us are in Finland. If somebody talks to us in Hindi or some Indian language, it's like music to our ears. Even I've started feeling that even English is my mother tongue because it's so familiar. But if somebody talks Finnish, still I can understand. But one fine day I get up suddenly somewhere in China or maybe Russia or somewhere in Czechoslovakia or some other place where they're speaking some language I don't understand. What will be my condition? And it is said that in previous times, they used to say in Vedic times that that person is really fortunate who does not have to leave his village or home to go away.
In fact, there is one saying, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
A Brahman who has put this spoon on,
Yes.
if he crossed the shores, he is not a Brahman.
Right. So we are coming from that background where my surname is Tripathi,
Okay.
and I was studying in a place called Lucknow, which is capital of UP in India, and there was a college which was supposed to be very reputed. Like if you don't get at least 60% mark, you won't get admission in the college itself. And the name of the principal was Tiwarsan. Now, those who are familiar with Indian nomenclature realize that Tripathi and Tiwari mean one and the same surname.
Right.
So this person became Tiwarsan. So I asked my cousins what happened, and my uncle, he said, well, actually, he was a Tiwari.
Okay.
He went out
Okay.
of his village
Okay.
and drank water outside the village,
Okay.
and he was kicked out from the village altogether.
You see.
So from Tiwari, he became a Christian, he became Tiwarsan, and then he left altogether.
That is for the village. Think about us leaving the country and coming to other places.
So you can imagine we are coming from that culture. So that's why we have to always, that's why it's important that we always remember our roots, that what Krishna wants and where we are. Many times it is also a test of Krishna that he puts in his very luxurious situations. We are here because we are getting something which we were thinking we were not getting in our place.
Correct.
But when we are acquiring this thing, have we made our parents or Krishna happy? Or have we done something which they don't miss us for? Or are we compensating somehow by that? That is the question which we have to always remember. So if there is any question or any comments, please feel free to ask.
Thank you so much. It was a great session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any questions, Prabhu? Any question, Prabhu? Hare Krishna. Thank you, Anthony. Hare Krishna.
I have one.
Yes, Prabhu. I'm sorry. Yeah, please.
How we can prevent that of falling down like Achabla, like in our life we have so dark past, at least I have. So karma, heavy karma. So how we can prevent not to fall down?
Well, I think you are being humble by saying that you got a very dark past. This entire session I was saying the same thing, that I am scared of my own dark past. I am scared that we are here, whereas our sanskars tell us that we should not be here. And when Srila Prabhupada, the founder of ISKCON, when he was going out, even his own god brothers, all the Gaudiya Math sannyasis, god brothers, all renounced, all very great devotees were saying, please don't go. But then he realized that it was his guru's order that he has to go. Because sometimes you have to leave your position, and that's why Guru takes disciples, not because Guru has anything to do with disciples, but it is Krishna's order that as I educated you, I took your responsibility, you take responsibility of others. Of course, when Guru does take, you realize that many sannyasis, if you read, are following that, okay, as they are aging, many of the sannyasis are facing lots of problems. So one way to understand is that's the old age which is coming, but at the same time, they have taken many disciples, and those disciples may not be actually following all the promises, all the vows, so all the scriptures, and they are doing many offenses. So that karmic reaction is also coming to them. Now, despite knowing this, gurus still take, because gurus are supposed to follow what Krishna has told them. So even if those sufferings are coming, so basically they are actually getting cleansed of their anarthas by Krishna. So even if they are getting so much of suffering, but it's Krishna order they are following. So since they are following the higher principles, so smaller principles won't be affecting them. So as long as you are serving Guru and Gauranga, there is no problem. You'll have anarthas. All of us have anarthas, and that's the reason we are here in the first place. But when we are trying to serve Guru and Gauranga, so as Ajamil was thinking about his son, he was not thinking about Krishna, but still he got the benefit of thinking about Krishna. And in fact, he was given second chance. That's why when at the age of 88, when he realized that he has got a second chance, he immediately renounced everything and he went to a Vishnu temple and he started praying and he perfected his life. So after that, when he saw again Vishnu Dutas have come, so he realized, okay, These are the ones who, because of whom I got mercy. And that's why he was again praying to them. He was not scared now they are going to take me away. No. He knew they were the ones who had the mercy on me, and then he was bowing down to them. He was praying to them. That's the mentality of a Vaishnava. So he was a Vaishnava, fell down. But again, Krishna, it said that when we are holding our hand to Krishna, Krishna does not forget us. Even if we try to forget, he takes away from our shikha and he takes back to us where he wants us to be. And you'll realize that many a times, like devotees come, like Jagai Madhai again came after they taking their 3 births, they again came. But this time they had asked. But you realize that all the devotees which were coming as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were in Krishna's pastime, and many of them were in Raman's pastimes also. But sometimes Krishna actually wants them to be part of his Leela. Like the only examples I could think of this Jamvan and Lord Hanuman, who were serving Lord Ram also, and they were serving Lord Krishna also. So many times it's Krishna's wish. We don't know what is Krishna's wish, but as long as we are focused on serving only Krishna's will, there's no problem for us. That's my understanding. Does that answer your question, Prabhu? And as long as we think that we are sinful and because of Krishna's mercy we are still having this good fortune, we are being saved, I feel. Thank you. Any more question? Thank you.